Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Fastlane review. Now, Fastlane just ended, and my god, this show was an absolute piece of shit. This show was a complete waste of time. This show was as bad as Elimination Chamber. To me, this year's Elimination Chamber show was the number one worst pay-per-view of the year so far. This might as well come at number 2. This was just a throwaway show. This show felt like a extended edition of Monday Night Raw and also SmackDown. It felt like a super show. And the only reason why WWE did Fastlane is for them to test Peacock, before WrestleMania. Because WrestleMania is going to be the first pay-per-view to air on Peacock, not on the WWE Network, because the network is shut down on April 4th. So on April 4th, it's transferring over to Peacock. So this whole pay-per-view was just done just to test people to sign up for Peacock and watch, the pay-per-view there. That's all that they did. But we did not need Fastlane. Fastlane should not have been on the events this year for WWE. We did not need this show 3 weeks until WrestleMania. This Fastlane should have been just kept off of the pay-per-view events. We should have just had Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and then after Elimination Chamber, just wait until WrestleMania. That's what WWE should have done. But no, let's put Fastlane, a pay-per-view that no one asked for. But this show, like I said, was a complete waste of time, absolutely god-awful. There was only 2 matches, in my opinion, on the show that were decent, that I liked. Everything else, complete waste. So let's jump right into the review. I'm going to start with the match that was on the Kickoff Show. And the match that was on the Kickoff was Matt Riddle versus Mustafa. I'll start calling him Mustafa now because on commentary they call him Mustafa instead of Mustafa. So Mustafa Ali. This was for the United States Championship, and this was actually a very good match here. I really liked this match. We had, of course, Matt Riddle come out first. Then Mustafa Ali came out along with Retribution, with T-Bar, Mace, Slapjack, and Reckoning, aka Mia Yim. So the match started off with Riddle and Mustafa Ali locking up. Mustafa Ali took Matt Riddle into the corner. Riddle then ended up taking Ali down, started driving knees to Ali's ribs. And then Matt Riddle delivered a big gut wrench throw and a Broton to Mustafa Ali in the middle of the ring. Went for the cover, which Ali ended up kicking out at 2. Riddle then ended up kicking Ali and ended up going for a slam, but Ali ended up holding the top rope, started fighting back to Matt Riddle. And Matt Riddle then ended up kicking Ali's leg. He ended up going for the Broton, but Ali ended up getting his knees up. So Riddle ended up landing hard. So Ali was just barking out at T-Bar, Mace, Slapjack, and Reckoning to make sure that they are watching to see how it's done. So Ali then kept control of the match, ended up slamming Riddle's leg into the bottom rope, ended up drop kicking him in the ribs, and sent Riddle out to the floor. So then Ali ended up dropping Riddle with a big knee to Riddle's gut. He went for the cover. Riddle ended up kicking out 2. So Ali then ended up grounding Matt Riddle with body scissors. Ali ended up doing more shots to Matt Riddle's neck. So both Riddle and Ali end up standing back up. Ali blocked the Bro Derek. Ali then ended up sending Matt Riddle into the turnbuckles. He ended up sending him into the turnbuckles twice. Ali then delivered a right hand and a chop to Matt Riddle in the corner. So then at the end of the match, we had Riddle end up lifting Mustafa Ali from the corner and end up hitting a Bro Derek from the top. So Matt Riddle delivered a Bro Derek and he went for the cover. And there you go. Matt Riddle ended up winning the match, retaining the United States Championship. But overall, it was a very good match here. Post-match, we had Matt Riddle heading up the ramp. Retribution got in the ring to help Ali to his feet. So Ali, like always, starts bitching and complaining at Mace, T-Bar, Slapjack, and Reckoning. Ends up shoving them around. He ended up blaming his loss on them. So Ali ended up directing his anger at Reckoning, Mia Yim. And Ali ordered Reckoning to get back in line. And she ends up turning at Ali. She got in Ali's face. And she was looking him up and down. Reckoning, Mia Yim ended up leaving the ring. Mustafa Ali was ordering her to come back. So Reckoning just kept walking. And Ali ended up saying that he doesn't need her. He doesn't need Reckoning. So Slapjack ends up leaving. Ali then yelled at Slapjack. So Slapjack left. And then Ali ended up blaming this on Mace and T-Bar. So Ali was just barking at the both of them. Mace and T-Bar then grabbed Ali and they double choke slammed him. Mace and T-Bar choke slammed Ali. And that was that. T-Bar and Mace then head to the back. So it looks like this is the end of Retribution. Hopefully this is the end. And hopefully, this is not just them, just kicking out only Mustafa Ali. And then it's just going to be Mace, T-Bar, Slapjack, and Reckoning. So I hope that's not the case. I hope this is the end of Retribution. Retribution has been an absolute failure. But overall, very good match between Riddle and Ali. Very enjoyable match. And then we get to the regular matches on the card. And Fastlane opened up with the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. This was just a very meh match in my opinion. This was not that good of a match. Of course, we had Bianca Belair come out first, and then Sasha. And of course, we had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler out next. Reginald was with them. So we had the match start off with Sasha and Shayna Baszler going at it. Sasha ended up dropping Baszler in the corner, delivered knees to Baszler. Bianca then tagged in, and she ended up going to work on Shayna Baszler. Baszler ended up fighting back to Bianca. Bianca then ended up backsliding Baszler for a quick pin attempt. So both of them started trading attempts, started trading some moves. Bianca then ended up trying to deliver a powerbomb to Shayna Baszler, but Baszler ended up reversing it, ended up getting free, and she ended up nailing a knee to Bianca's jaw. Baszler then ended up working on Bianca's hand and fingers. So then Nia Jax ended up coming in. Shayna Baszler wasn't happy with Nia Jax coming in. So Bianca then ended up taking Nia Jax into the corner. Sasha came in. Sasha slid off of Nia Jax's shoulders, and they both end up tangling. Nia Jax was fighting off the bank statement, and she ended up leveling Sasha for a close 2 count. So we had later on Bianca ended up hitting a 450 on Shayna Baszler, and Reginald then ended up distracting Bianca. Sasha ended up leaping off of the apron, and she ended up trying to hit Reginald, but Reginald ended up leaping off of the apron. Bianca then knocked Reginald off the apron because he got back up. So Bianca knocked Reginald off the apron. So Shayna Baszler then ended up locking in the Karafuda clutch to Bianca from behind. So then Shayna Baszler then applied the Karafuda clutch to Bianca Belair from behind. Bianca ended up breaking free of the Karafuda clutch. Sasha ended up coming in, and her and Bianca ended up double teaming on Shayna Baszler. Sasha then applied the bank statement to Shayna Baszler, but Nia Jax ended up coming in. Bianca ended up meeting Nia Jax, but Nia Jax ended up knocking Bianca into Sasha to break up the bank statement. So Sasha and Bianca were arguing. Sasha ended up calling Bianca a rookie, and she ended up pushing her out of the way. So Shayna Baszler then ended up taking advantage of the match. She ended up rolling Sasha up from behind, and there you go. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler end up winning the match, retaining the women's tag team titles. Post-match, we had Sasha and Bianca. They were arguing in the middle of the ring. Sasha then ended up pushing Bianca with her finger to the forehead, and Sasha then ended up slapping Bianca. So Sasha then ended up exiting the ring. Bianca was shocked, and Bianca then was shown pointing up at the WrestleMania sign and ends up telling herself it's going to be okay. So that was that. So Sasha turning heel here, which we all knew was happening. Overall, just a very meh match. Wasn't that good of a match. And now we had Michael Cole and Kroy Graves. They were talking about how Shane suffered a leg injury during pre-show training, which originally Shane was going to have a match with Braun Strowman. It was advertised for the pay-per-view, but then WWE ended up taking that match off of the card. So it looks like we might be seeing Shane and Braun at WrestleMania. Originally, I was like, all right, it's going to be at WrestleMania, but no, WWE made the match for Fastlane. Then they took it off of the card. So I'm like, all right, they're possibly moving the match back to WrestleMania, which it looks like it. So they're just prolonging this match. So we're going to be seeing that at WrestleMania. So Shane was shown limping out of the trainer's room, and he was shown using a crutch. So we had Elias and Jackson Riker end up approaching Shane, and they said that they have a big idea for WrestleMania, one that will make Bad Bunny give him his Grammy out of respect. So Shane ended up telling them that he doesn't want to listen to it now. So Elias then ended up mentioning performing or doing whatever is needed. So Shane ended up changing his mind. And Shane ended up saying that he has an idea for him and Jackson Riker. So that was that. But who cares? Who cares? So then we had Apollo Crews versus Big E. Intercontinental Championship on the line. And this is a match that I was looking forward to. Apollo Crews and Big E's feud is the best thing going on SmackDown aside from Roman Reigns. Really am enjoying this feud, the storyline with Apollo Crews and Big E. Apollo Crews end up having that Nigerian accent. And this match, it had potential. But unfortunately, this match ended off coming as a disappointment. This match was horrible. This match could have been decent, but it was just disappointing. So the match ended up starting. Apollo Crews and Big E end up brawling. Big E ended up sending Apollo Crews to the apron, and he delivered a spear to Apollo Crews. They end up both falling out to the floor. Big E then got in Apollo Crews' face, started yelling at him while they were down. Apollo Crews ended up fighting back on the floor, and they ended up both getting back into the ring. So Big E was talking trash to Apollo Crews, and we had Big E end up delivering two big splashes on Apollo Crews while Apollo Crews was laid on the apron. Of course, which the apron is the hardest part of the ring. So Apollo Crews slowly got up. Apollo Crews started striking at Big E, but Big E ended up delivering a belly-to-belly throw to Apollo Crews across the ring. Big E then delivered another belly-to-belly throw to Apollo Crews. So Apollo Crews ended up delivering a drop kick to Big E's knee out of nowhere. And so Apollo Crews then took control of the match. Apollo Crews delivered 3 German suplexes to Big E, and he kept Big E down, started stomping on Big E's neck. Apollo Crews then delivered a spine buster on Big E, started doing more stomps. Apollo Crews went to the top, delivered a frog splash and onto Big E, which he connected, went for the cover, which Big E ended up kicking out too. So Apollo Crews then went right to a waistlock to keep Big E down, and then Crews ended up landing a big kick and an enziguri to Big E's face, and Apollo Crews then delivered a standing moonsault, but Big E ended up getting his knees up. So at the end of the match, this is where the match ended in a disappointment for me, because Big E then charged into the corner. Big E then hit the ring post because Apollo Crews ended up moving. Big E then blocked a spin-out powerbomb. Apollo Crews then blocked the big ending, which he rolled Big E up for a 2 count. They started tangling on the mat. Big E ended up landing in a pinfall out of nowhere, and the referee ended up calling for the bell. So I was confused here. So because the bell ended up ringing, so Big E ended up doing a awkward pinfall on Apollo Crews. So the referee then pointed out that Big E was the winner. So then Apollo Crews then started unloading on Big E more, kept on attacking him. Apollo Crews then nailed a slam, an angle slam to Big E, started talking more trash to him. He started smacking Big E around while he was down. So Crews delivered another angle slam, and Apollo Crews then standing tall over Big E. He put his boot on Big E, started posing with a scarf. So that was that. But overall, this match had potential, but it just came off as a disappointment. Match was terrible. So then we had Shane McMahon, Jackson Riker, and Elias in the ring. Shane ended up saying that he wants Elias to play a song as an apparent WrestleMania preview. So Elias starts to play. Shane ends up stopping him to inform him that he will be replacing him tonight, that Elias will be replacing Shane. So Riker and Elias were confused, and out came Braun Strowman, which then we had Braun Strowman versus Elias. This was a squash match. This match was a complete waste of time. Braun Strowman won, running power slam on Elias. That was it. Moving on. So then we had Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle was backstage on his scooter, and he ends up saying, "What's up?" to Shinsuke Nakamura. Matt Riddle ended up wishing Nakamura good luck in his match against Seth Rollins. And he ended up asking Nakamura if he wants to go into business with him. Riddle ended up telling Nakamura that he has thousands of business ideas and wants to trick out these scooters for sale. So Nakamura wasn't interested. So Riddle was rambling on to Nakamura about his cousin, and that his cousin's name is Skeeter, and he is a skater. So Nakamura walks away. So Riddle ended up noticing that Nakamura, left. So Nakamura ended up coming back from behind the corner, and that was that. So Nakamura wanted no business with Matt Riddle. And then we had Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which this was a good match here. This was a decent match. So we had Seth Rollins come out first, then Nakamura. And the match starts, and both Nakamura and Rollins lock up. Rollins ended up applying a headlock to Nakamura, started talking some trash to him. Nakamura then dropped Rollins with a knee to his gut. And then he ended up dropping a knee to Seth Rollins' face. Rollins ended up ducking a kick from Nakamura, ended up retreating out to the floor to take a breather. Rollins then ended up running back into the ring. Nakamura ended up kicking him. Nakamura then delivered a flying kick to Seth Rollins, went for the cover, which Rollins kicked out at 2. So Nakamura was working on Seth Rollins, started grabbing him from behind, but Rollins ended up elbowing Nakamura away. Rollins ended up delivering a kick to Nakamura before he ended up slamming him. Rollins then tossed Nakamura out to the floor, and then he fouled and leapt off the apron with the knee to the side of Nakamura's face. Rollins then slammed Nakamura face first into the announce table, and he was just kept on talking trash to Nakamura. Rollins delivered a running knee to Nakamura's gut, and he delivered another one, and then a third knee to Nakamura's gut. So at the end of the match, you had Seth Rollins winning, where Nakamura ended up going for the Kinshasa. Rollins ended up rolling him, and he came right back with a forearm to the back of Nakamura's neck. Nakamura then avoided the curb stomp, but Rollins ended up coming right back up with a kick to Nakamura's face. And then Rollins ended up following that up and delivered the stomp to Nakamura. So there you go. Seth Rollins won the match. But overall, decent match from Rollins and Nakamura here. But, Seth Rollins, I keep on saying this, his embrace the vision gimmick, it's not going anywhere. Seth Rollins is not going anywhere with this gimmick. It's leading to nowhere, in my opinion. And so then we had Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre, no holds barred match. And this was a decent match here. And I know I said there was only like 2 matches that I thought were decent on the card tonight. I may have to change that. Seth Rollins versus Nakamura, that was decent. Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus was decent. And also Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. I actually liked. So 3 matches on this card I thought were decent matches instead of 2. So apologize for just saying only 2 matches that I found were decent on the card tonight. But McIntyre versus Sheamus no holds bar match. This was decent, and we had McIntyre come out. McIntyre end up having blue and white face paint, which when he came out, I'm like, oh, he looked like Mel Gibson from Braveheart. So he came out, and then Sheamus. So the match ended up starting where Sheamus was talking trash to McIntyre. They both of them met in the middle of the ring. McIntyre ended up striking first at Sheamus, and him and Sheamus started going at it. Sheamus ended up delivering a high knee, but McIntyre ended up tossing him over his head and tossed him across the ring. McIntyre then clotheslined Sheamus over the top rope, which sent Sheamus out to the floor. Sheamus then took out McIntyre's leg on the apron, brought McIntyre down. Sheamus was then working McIntyre over, started launching him into the barricade. And then McIntyre ended up delivering a overhead belly-to-belly to Sheamus on the floor at ringside, which was crazy. McIntyre then delivered a chop to Sheamus against the announce table. McIntyre ended up ramming Sheamus into the ring post, which then McIntyre took apart the announce table. And he ended up looking to use the top of the table, but he ended up dropping it. Then McIntyre went under the ring, started taking out a bunch of kendo sticks, throwing it into the ring. Sheamus then punched McIntyre, and Sheamus ended up running McIntyre face first into the ring post. Sheamus then grabbed a kendo stick, started swinging it, but McIntyre ended up ducking, and the kendo stick ended up hitting the ring post. McIntyre delivered another overhead belly-to-belly throw at ringside to Sheamus. McIntyre then ended up launching Sheamus into the ring steps, and he delivered a stomp on top of Sheamus on the steel of the ring steps. McIntyre brought Sheamus back into the ring, and McIntyre was delivering kendo stick shots, but Sheamus ended up nailing a huge kick into McIntyre and the kendo stick, which was crazy. So Sheamus went for the cover, which McIntyre kicked out at 2. Sheamus then picked up another kendo stick, started hitting McIntyre with it while he was down. So we had Sheamus then grind the kendo stick in McIntyre's mouth, and he was pulling back on it. He was pulling back on the kendo stick that was in McIntyre's mouth. So McIntyre fighted back, and he delivered the Glasgow Kiss headbutt to Sheamus. He then delivered another. So McIntyre ended up dropping Sheamus with a big boot. And they were just going back and forth. And McIntyre ended up going for a Future Shock DDT, but Sheamus ended up reversing it. McIntyre then tossed Sheamus off the table into the barricade and into the timekeeper's area. So McIntyre was fighting Sheamus. They were going into where the LED rows are, the virtual crowd. So McIntyre then dropped Sheamus over a rail and started chopping him. Sheamus ended up blocking a suplex from McIntyre on the concrete, but then he ended up dropping McIntyre on the concrete with a suplex. So McIntyre was shown gasping for air. They both end up fighting up on top of a production case, and they were on top of the second level of the LED rows. Sheamus then knocked McIntyre up another level. So McIntyre was shown fighting back on the platform. Sheamus scooped McIntyre up, and he ended up delivering a rolling senton to McIntyre on the platform where the virtual crowd, the LED rows are. So Sheamus then went for a senton over the LED screens, but McIntyre ended up blocking it. So McIntyre kept fighting, started launching Sheamus through the LED screens, which caused them to spark. So they sparked as McIntyre ended up throwing Sheamus through them. And at the end of the match, we had McIntyre pick up the win, where he delivered the Claymore to Sheamus, because McIntyre at first ended up hitting a Future Shock DDT on the table, and McIntyre ended up delivering the Claymore to Sheamus. So there you go. McIntyre ended up winning. So that was that. Post-match, McIntyre ended up standing tall over Sheamus, and he ended up looking at the WrestleMania sign, and that was that. But overall, decent match. Really enjoyed this no-holds-barred match between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. And then we had Randy Orton versus Alexa Bliss. This was terrible. This was god-awful. I mean, Alexa Bliss, she's still the best thing going on Monday Night Raw. I like what they're doing with Alexa Bliss. Her being with the Fiend. Her playing mind games with Randy Orton. So Randy Orton came out, and once again, Orton was shown coughing up black liquid. So Orton sees, and he went for a towel at ringside. He was like, "Give me a towel." So Orton ended up returning to the ring, started yelling for Alexa Bliss to come out. Orton was shown pacing around the ring. So Alexa Bliss's music ends up hitting. So we got Alexa Bliss's, regular music, and then it turns into the Firefly Funhouse theme, which, a very mixed version of the Firefly Funhouse, where it's all distorted, and it was very creepy, sounded like very ghostly. So Alexa Bliss comes out. She ends up getting into the ring. She ends up laughing, and the lights became pink. So the lights were pink over the ring. The bell ends up ringing. Orton ended up approaching Alexa Bliss, but a flame ended up shooting up. So he ended up backing off back into the corner. So Alexa Bliss was shown laughing. Orton charged some more, and Alexa Bliss ended up moving, and Orton ended up running right into the ring post, which he tumbled out to the floor. So Alexa Bliss was laughing at Orton. She's hopping and skipping around. She was taunting Orton. So we had Orton end up getting back up, and he slowly follows Alexa Bliss around the ring. Bliss ended up stopping, and she looked at Orton. So Alexa Bliss was shown looking up, and all of a sudden we saw a lighting rig fall from the rafters, which it barely missed Orton. So Orton was like, "Oh, you trying to kill me?" And Alexa Bliss was just laughing some more, started shrugging her shoulders. So Alexa Bliss ended up luring Orton back into the ring. Orton entered on the other side of the ring as Alexa Bliss ended up watching from her corner. So Orton ended up approaching Alexa, but she ends up shooting a fireball at him. So Orton ends up going back down. Alexa Bliss starts skipping and dancing around again. And Alexa Bliss then sat on the top turnbuckle. She was just laughing at Orton. And then all of a sudden we see an arm come up from the ring. And the arm ended up grabbing Orton's ankle. So Orton ends up moving away, and we see the Fiend return. The Fiend ended up coming up from the ring, and the Fiend has a new look where his mask is all distorted, and it looks like Bray Wyatt lost a little weight here, in my opinion, from what I saw. So the Fiend had this new look. Orton ended up staring him down. Alexa Bliss ended up coming off the top turnbuckle, and she ended up kicking Orton into a Sister Abigail. So Alexa Bliss went for the cover, and that was that. Alexa Bliss ended up winning. But overall, this match was terrible. Awful. Although the Fiend, I like his distorted mask that he has, because he came up, he looked all distorted after Orton ended up setting him on fire at TLC. Main event: Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. Universal Championship match. We had Edge, of course, be the special enforcer, because he ended up defeating Jey Uso on SmackDown this past Friday. So Edge came out first, and then Daniel Bryan. And out came Roman Reigns last. So we had Roman end up stopping at the ring steps. He was taking his time, as usual, to get in the ring. So Reigns ended up approaching Daniel Bryan. He raised the Universal Championship at him. So the match ended up starting, and Daniel Bryan and Roman sized each other up. Daniel Bryan ended up trying to grab Roman's leg, but Roman ended up standing tall and ended up warning him. So Reigns ended up taking it to the corner. Daniel Bryan turned it around and delivered a kick to Roman. Daniel Bryan was shown backing off. And, they still haven't gone at it, both Daniel Bryan and Roman here. They were trying to go at it, but they haven't gone at this point in the match yet. So Bryan and Roman end up locking up. Reigns then took it into the corner. He was putting Daniel Bryan down. So Reigns was talking trash to Daniel Bryan. He was telling Daniel Bryan to take his ass home. So Bryan was smirking, and they go to lock up. Daniel Bryan ended up going for the ankle lock. Reigns ended up scrabbling to the ropes. Daniel Bryan ended up taunting him. So Daniel Bryan then kept taunting Roman and going for the leg. So Reigns ended up standing tall and kept him from getting taken down. Daniel Bryan then grabbed Roman's leg, but Roman ended up carrying him over to the rope to break it. So Reigns then ended up powering Daniel Bryan down because they did a test of strength. Daniel Bryan came back, ended up rolling Reigns into an armbar. Reigns quickly got to the bottom rope to break the armbar. So Reigns was annoyed because Daniel Bryan was leading a yes chant. So Reigns ended up taking Daniel Bryan down with a headlock. Daniel Bryan turned it around and mounted Reigns from behind. He was working on Roman. And Bryan then stretched Roman's arm and tried to pin him. Reigns ended up getting free and delivered a headbutt to Daniel Bryan, which after the headbutt, he delivered a kick to Daniel Bryan's face. And there was another point in the match where Jey Uso got involved. Jey Uso ended up coming into the ring out of nowhere. He delivered a super kick to Edge. And he then freed Roman by taking out Daniel Bryan. So Jey Uso bought a chair in. Edge started to get up from being laid out from the super kick from Jey Uso. Jey Uso ended up ramming Edge into the ring post. Jey Uso then ended up swinging the chair, but Daniel Bryan ended up ducking, and he leveled Jey Uso with the flying knee. So Daniel Bryan then ended up grabbing the chair, and he started unloading chair shots to Jey Uso while he was down. Daniel Bryan ended up getting back up, and he ended up waiting for Reigns to get up. Daniel Bryan ended up swinging the chair, but Reigns ended up ducking. Daniel Bryan then hit Edge with the chair shot. So you all know where this is headed at WrestleMania. So Reigns ended up coming right back, delivered a Superman punch to Daniel Bryan. Reigns then ended up waiting in the corner. He was looking to go for the spear to Daniel Bryan. So Reigns then goes for the spear, but Daniel Bryan ended up countering that. Daniel Bryan then took Reigns down, locked in the yes lock. So there was no referee here. So Daniel Bryan ended up tying the yes lock, and Daniel Bryan was yelling at Roman to tap out. And it was shown that Reigns was tapping out. Reigns was tapping. Edge didn't see it because he was out. So Edge ended up coming back up, and he ended up smacking Daniel Bryan with the chair to break the yes lock. Edge then delivered a chair shot to Roman while he was down. Edge turned and delivered another chair shot to Daniel Bryan to keep him down. And Edge ended up yelling out, "This is his. His." So Edge was showing some frustration, which was cool here, which was cool to see. You know, if there was a crowd here, you could tell that they would be booing the hell out of Edge here, which would make him a heel here. You know, make him a monstrous heel right here. So we had a referee come into the ring because Edge ended up walking up the ramp. So he wanted no point in what was going on. He did not care. So a referee came out. Reigns started the move. Reigns ended up laying on Daniel Bryan for the pin. So there you go. The referee ended up counting, and Roman Reigns ended up winning the match, retaining the Universal Championship. Post-match, we had Reigns end up getting to his feet. He ended up raising the Universal Championship in the air. So now is how Fastlane ended tonight. Overall, this was a decent match here. And you could tell right here, you know, with Edge delivering the chair shots to Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, you could already tell that a triple threat is going to be happening at WrestleMania, where the Universal Championship is on the line, of course. So this is a good thing for Edge if it's a when we get this triple threat at WrestleMania. You can tell that WWE is going to be booking that for WrestleMania, so that's a good thing for Edge. You know, we did not want to see Edge versus Roman, just one-on-one. With Daniel Bryan being in this, it actually makes it, much better. But, like I stated in my SmackDown review on Friday, that Edge is the third wheel in this whole thing. You're going to have Roman and Daniel Bryan, at WrestleMania, and then Edge is there. Edge is only there because he's the Royal Rumble winner for this year. So with WWE possibly booking a triple threat at WrestleMania with Edge, Daniel Bryan, and Roman Reigns, like I said, this is a good thing for Edge here, in my opinion. So that was Fastlane. Overall, complete waste of time show, absolutely terrible, and it was a show that nobody asked for and was not needed. 3 weeks before WrestleMania. But anyways, that's it for my review of Fastlane. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow night for Monday Night Raw.